The final insult asterisk. The Galactic Council had gathered again. Over 100 alien species sat in a massive glowing hall suspended above a planet-sized space station. Their robes shimmered, their languages buzzed softly in the air, and their leaders whispered plans and politics. In the back row, as always, sat the human delegation, quiet, polite, ignored. Ambassador Elaine Carter stood straight, her expression calm, her eyes sharp. She had attended these meetings for 15 years. 15 years of patience. 15 years of humiliation. Humans should stay out of this debate, barked a tall insectoid from the Zyklin hive. Their kind lacks the intelligence for such matters. A few snickers passed through the room. A lizard-like ambassador from Korth Resh added, "They're emotional creatures, too soft, too slow, too naive to understand power." Elaine said nothing. She smiled slightly, bowed her head in false respect. It was what humans had always done. Take the insult. Pretend not to notice. For peace, but peace had a limit. Back on Earth, humanity had changed. The news of insults, attacks on their colonies, and broken treaties had started to fill the streets with anger. Young humans asked why they still bowed their heads. Veterans clenched their fists. Scientists whispered of hidden weapons. Soldiers were being recalled. Something was boiling. In space, the council laughed again. This time, it was over a trade deal. Humans had developed a rare energy source, stable, clean, powerful. The council voted to seize it for the greater galactic good. No payment. No thanks. Elaine stood up. The room fell silent. She had never spoken out loud during a vote before. Her voice was cold but clear. Earth rejects the council's theft. This is not cooperation. This is slavery. The Zyklin ambassador hissed. Your kind will be punished for defiance. Elaine turned to him and smiled. Not the polite smile of a diplomat. Not the forced smile of someone holding back anger. This was different. Calm, eerie, sharp like a blade. The time for patience is over, she said. The galaxy has forgotten what humans can do. You will remember now. She walked out. No one tried to stop her. They didn't think she was a threat. Just another human, soft, slow, harmless. They didn't know. They had pushed too far. 2 weeks later, a Zyklin war fleet entered Earth's orbit, expecting fear, surrender, begging. Instead, they found empty skies. No satellites. No signals. Just silence. Then a burst of light. 12 Zyklin ships vanished in 1 second. Not destroyed, erased. No heat. No trace. Gone. Back in council space. Panic spread. Who had done this? What technology could erase ships from space like shadows under light? And then came the message. A human voice, deep and slow, echoed across all channels. You mocked us. You broke your promises. You stole from us. You looked down on us. We asked for peace. You gave us war. Now we answer. The voice paused. This is not vengeance. This is remembrance. One by one, the great powers of the galaxy started to fall. First, their communication systems failed. Then their defense networks blinked off. Their warships turned against their own fleets, hacked from the inside. Entire moons went dark. Energy drained. Cities collapsed into dust. No explosions. No warnings. Just silence. The kind of silence only humans could create when they no longer cared about diplomacy. Back at the council, fear twisted every face. Alien leaders shouted, argued, begged, but it was too late. Humanity's patience had snapped. The galaxy had pushed for too long, laughed for too long, stolen too much. Now, the most dangerous species in the galaxy, not because of size or strength, but because of what they could build, feel, and remember, had decided to stop being silent. Ambassador Elaine Carter returned to the council one last time. This time, the guards stepped aside. This time, every eye turned to her with fear. She stood at the center and whispered, You wanted to see what humans are made of. Now you will. Her words echoed like thunder. No weapons. No army. Just one human, calm, deadly, and done waiting. The final insult had been delivered. And now, it was humanity's turn to speak. The Zyklon fleet hovered above the planet Mavax 3, a once proud mining colony, now silent. No distress calls, no defense response, no civilian signals. Captain Kor of the Zyklon Empire narrowed his compound eyes. Scan again. There must be survivors. The crew obeyed. Scanners hummed, lights blinked, and returned nothing. Impossible, Kor growled. The humans don't have cloaking tech this advanced. But Mavax 3 had been a human outpost until the Council declared it open property. They claimed it stripped it, enslaved the workers. All of it done under law. Human law meant nothing here. Then came the silence. The Zyklon had come to investigate and found something worse than war. Nothing. No life signs. No power signatures. No orbiting satellites. Just a dead world. Like it had been turned off. And above them, the sky split open. Not with fire. Not with sound. With silence. Ripples shimmered above the fleet, like glass cracking in water. From that crack came a single ship. Black. Hexagonal in design. No markings. No engines. No heat. Just presence. Kor stared at it. And something primal inside him screamed. The ship didn't fire. It didn't speak. It simply existed. And the Zyklon ships began to fall. One by one, systems shutting down. Lights dying, metal melting like wax without heat. Kor ordered a retreat. No one could move. Their bodies obeyed. But the ships did not. Every screen in the command deck blinked white. Then a sentence appeared, simple, soft, cold. You erased our voice. So now we erase yours. The Zyklon fleet vanished. Back at Council Prime, reports flooded in. The Varnak dreadnoughts at the Zeta perimeter had gone dark. The Forens, WARP gates failed mid-transit. 2 million troops lost in the void. And the worst, the Council's own archive moon had been wiped clean. Every record, every law, every history, gone. The Council met in panic. What do they want? Shrieked a bird-like ambassador. Why aren't they talking? Cried another. They always wanted peace. A snake-bodied general shouted. We gave them treaties. No, said a quiet voice in the chamber. It was the Tharn Elder, an old species that lived long and remembered longer. You gave them cages, the Elder said, eyes glowing dimly. You never listened. You only tolerated them, like pets. The hall went still. The Elder continued. Now the pets have remembered they were wolves. On Earth, the skies were calm. The planet had changed. Had gone dark, not dead, but invisible. To outside sensors, it no longer existed. But beneath its shield, humanity was alive, more alive than ever. They had stopped begging. They had stopped asking. They had prepared. Massive underground cities buzzed with energy. Children trained beside soldiers. Scientists worked on machines the galaxy had never dreamed of. AI intelligences, once limited by law, now worked freely, calculating futures. Above them hovered the Ghost Armada, silent human ships, black as void, guided not by crew, but by memory. Each one named after a colony lost, each one powered by something no one dared to understand. Emotion. Grief. Anger. Hope. Humanity had turned its pain into energy. Its memory into war, and its silence into a weapon. Somewhere in deep space, a lonely alien scout ship drifted through Sector D9. The crew were scavengers, not fighters, not enemies. They stumbled upon one of the human ghost ships. Terrified, they sent a simple message. We are not your enemies. We only seek to live. The ghost ship paused. Then answered. Then live and remember. The ship turned and disappeared into hyperspace. No flash, no engine. Just gone. The crew sat in silence, shaking. The humans hadn't attacked, but that message. It wasn't A threat. It was a warning. They would spare those who remembered, but forgetfulness would cost everything. Back on Council Prime, Ambassador Elaine Carter sat in a quiet room, alone, watching the stars through a glass wall. She was no longer a representative. She was a witness. To the rise. To the snap. To the silence. A young alien assistant entered nervously. "Miss Carter, they're asking, what will humanity do next?" Elaine didn't look away from the stars. She simply whispered, "That depends on whether the galaxy remembers how it treated us, or forgets again." And above them all, high in the sky, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, because now the humans had stopped speaking. And when the quiet ones move, the galaxy learns to fear. Asterisk. Long before the Council was formed, before galactic law, before the great empires, the stars whispered of a species that learned too quickly. They were not the strongest, they were not the fastest, but they remembered, and that memory was terrifying. That species was humanity, but history buried the truth. The galactic archives, the most ancient record system in existence, had deliberately left out Earth's rise. No files. No battles. No warnings. Only a label. Minor species. Emotionally unstable. Technologically average. But there was one place the truth survived, deep beneath the ruins of Vora Prime, in an abandoned data vault sealed for 4,000 years. A dead moon, long forgotten after a bio-plague. And now, someone was trying to open it. A foreign data thief named Ixa crept through the ashes of the old city, his metal limbs clicking softly. He wasn't brave, just desperate. He had intercepted a strange human signal, coordinates, a challenge. Find what the stars forgot. He didn't understand it, but he followed it. What he found inside the vault rewrote his reality. The holograms started on their own. Old, cracked voices filled the room. Entry log, human ship Heartspark, year 2193, Earth calendar. First contact with Zyklon, offered alliance, declined. Another log, year 2231, Varnak betrayed ceasefire. Human fleet refused to retaliate, peace maintained. Another, year 2267, foreign slavers took children from Vega colony. Earth filed 17 diplomatic complaints, ignored. The logs continued, centuries of betrayal, but humans never snapped. They negotiated, they forgave, they hoped, until the last entry appeared, year 2499. Final vote, the patience protocol ends. The image froze. A single human face stared out. Male, scarred, his eyes hollow but calm. He spoke directly. To the future. If you're seeing this, it means we've finally stopped apologizing. His voice was low, not angry, not loud. Just done. We tried. For peace, for respect, we tried everything. You took our kindness as weakness, our patience as permission. You laughed at our dead. You took what wasn't yours. He leaned closer, and now we remember. Ixa fell back, shivering. He had seen war. He had hacked weapons. But this was prophecy. This was history sharpened into revenge. He downloaded everything and ran. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, an alien university on Salenka celebrated Human Psychology Week, a mock lecture series on how humans were emotionally fragile and irrational. One professor showed animations of crying, humans refusing to fight back. The crowd laughed. Then the lights flickered. The wall screen turned black. A new image appeared, the same scarred human from the vault. Only this time, he wasn't alone. Behind him stood thousands of others, men, women, children, all silent. Staring. Waiting. The human spoke. We see you, we remember you. And now you will remember us. Every data stream in the university went down. Every archive was replaced with one message. You forgot the truth. We didn't. And then the screen burned. Literally. Over 1,000 institutions across the galaxy experienced the same thing. Coordinated message, silent, smooth, unstoppable. The humans had turned memory into a weapon. Back on Earth, deep beneath the Arctic core, an ancient human council met in a chamber lit only by holographic stars. They weren't military. They weren't politicians. They were historians, the last keepers of truth. One of them, an old woman named Dr. May Harlan, nodded as the reports flowed in. "It has begun," she said softly. "They're waking up." Another whispered. May placed her hand on a glass tablet marked Protocol Archive. Iron memory. It opened, revealing data on over 100 civilizations that had wronged humanity, coordinates, tactics, weaknesses, but they weren't planning an attack. Not yet. They were offering a test. If the galaxy remembered its crimes, it might be spared. But forgetfulness would mean silence. Forever. In the council chambers, panic spread again. "How are they controlling our data?" demanded a Zicklin leader. "Where is their command center?" asked another. Ambassador Elaine Carter entered quietly. "No guards. No fear. Just silence." "You don't understand," she said. "We are not controlling anything." She stepped forward. "We are simply remembering." Her hand raised, and a hologram appeared above the chamber. It showed a single phrase from an ancient human philosopher. "The axe forgets. The tree remembers." The hall went still, because they finally realized they were the axes, and humanity had grown into a forest that now remembered every cut and was no longer afraid to grow. Back sharp. Asterisk in the outer ring of Sector 19B. An exploration ship from the Valari Dominion entered an uncharted system. They had followed a weak signal, an ancient human frequency looping endlessly. A woman's voice, soft and broken, whispered, "We waited and waited. You never came. So now we come to you." The Valari ship descended into orbit over a dense green planet. No name on the charts, no signs of civilization. Just a vast jungle. The ship's scanners glitched. The crew lost navigation. No stars above. Only trees below. They landed, and the jungle swallowed them. Commander Selk of the Valari stepped outside first. Her boots sank slightly into damp earth. The air was thick, heavy with silence. No insects. No birds. Just trees. But these weren't normal trees. Their trunks were black, smooth like obsidian. Their branches were long, thin, too uniform, too deliberate. And their leaves, sharp as blades, every one of them. Thousands of leaves, dagger-shaped, motionless, cold. One soldier reached to pluck a leaf. The forest hissed. Not wind. Not an animal. The sound came from the leaves themselves. As if they were remembering. Salq drew her weapon. "Stay close," she ordered. They walked deeper. The jungle grew denser. Shapes began to appear in the trees. Not animals, not people. Armor, torn fabric, rusty weapons. Skulls. Human skulls? No, not human. Zyklon.pho, Aran.vliri. All fused into the trees. As if the forest had eaten them. As if it had remembered them and reshaped them into roots. Hours passed. Time didn't work right. Watches froze. Suns didn't move. The deeper they walked, the more the jungle seemed to breathe. And then they found it, the heart tree. A towering tree unlike the others, wide as a castle, tall as a tower. Its bark was carved with names, thousands of them. Each name written in a different alien language. Each one a name of someone who had wronged humanity, stolen from them. Lied to them. Hurt them. Selk stepped closer. One name glowed. Selk var-na. Her own. She gasped. Fell back, behind her. The branches twisted. They weren't just wood. They were machines, human-made biotech, half-organic, half-code. They didn't need bullets. They needed memory. Salq shouted for extraction. Nothing. No signal. No response. Only the trees. now leaning in, watching, waiting, and then, from the darkness of the forest, a figure appeared. A human, barefoot, eyes. Glowing faint blue, no armor. No gun, just skin and silence. He looked at Selk and whispered, "Do you know what it feels like to be forgotten?" She raised her weapon. He didn't move. She fired. The bolt vanished before reaching him. He stepped forward, placed a hand on the heart tree. The forest screamed, and her soldiers, all of them, vanished. No light, no smoke, just silence. Selk fell to her knees. The human stepped closer. "There's no war here," he said. "Only truth," she whispered, trembling. "What is this place?" He looked around slowly and said, "This is what patience becomes, when it's betrayed long enough." Back in the Council Archive Tower, a new warning message appeared. Across every security screen, Sector 19B is no longer navigable. All ships redirected. Violation will result in permanent silence. No one knew what happened there, but they called it the Forest of Knives, a memorial, a weapon, a graveyard of names, and it grew, slowly, each time a human colony was mocked. A new route appeared. Each time a human memory was erased, a new blade sprouted. Forest was not alive in the way plants were, it was alive the way pain was, remembered, buried, and now blooming, somewhere on a hidden Earth base. Ambassador Elaine Carter reviewed the report. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She simply nodded. "Let them wonder," she said to the silent officers around her. "Let them fear trees now." One officer leaned in. "The Valari may retaliate." Elaine looked at him. "They're welcome to enter the forest again," she said coldly, "but they'll leave as whispers." He fell silent, because now, the galaxy had realized something no archive had recorded. Humans didn't always fight with bombs. Sometimes, they fought with memory, and sometimes, they planted it. Above Earth, the stars were quiet, but in the deep systems, strange trees began to grow in dark soil, each with knives for leaves, each one whispering names. The galaxy had tried to forget, but the humans hadn't. They never would. Asterisk. The Council officially declared war on Earth. Broadcasts were sent across galaxies. All member species received the message. Humanity has become a threat to galactic peace. Unified military action begins immediately. But something strange happened. After the declaration, nothing, no battle, no invasion, no retaliation. Weeks passed. Fleets launched toward human-controlled space, but never arrived. No wreckage, no distress calls. Just silence. Planets near human territory reported strange phenomena. Ships went blind. Sensors showed impossible data. Entire moons shifting positions. Gravity reversing for seconds. Star maps becoming unreliable. It was as if reality near humanity had started to break, but humans said nothing. They released no statements. No threats. No demands. They simply watched from the shadows, and the galaxy began to panic. On the Council warship Unity Star, General Vark of the Corelli Empire stood in the command center, reviewing attack routes. "Why do we have no updates from Strike Group Beta?" he barked. An officer looked pale. "Sir, their last message was unsettling. Play it." The screen flickered. A soldier's face filled the screen, eyes wide, whispering, "They're not fighting us. They're watching, waiting. Our thoughts aren't safe. I saw my dead sister on the ship's glass." The message ended in static. General Vark clenched his jaw. "They're using psychological weapons," he growled. "Illusions, fear tech, nothing more." But then, lights dimmed. A low hum filled the room. The main screen blinked, showing an Earth map, drawn entirely in blood. No source. No signal. Then a sentence appeared line by line. "We offered friendship. You offered laughter. We offered truth. You offered silence. We offered patience. You offered war. So we offer Nothing. The screen went black. No sound, not even static. General Vark screamed, "Trace it! Shut it down!" But nothing worked. Then, slowly, every screen aboard the Unity Star turned on, one by one, each showing the same thing: the General's childhood memories, images of his mother, his home planet, his first day as a cadet, private thoughts. Private fears, projected to the entire crew. His mind had been read, his past weaponized. He collapsed, shaking. And for the first time in Corelli military history, a fleet retreated without ever seeing an enemy. Meanwhile, Earth remained quiet, not silent, just quiet. Farmers grew food. Children studied in underground schools. Scientists worked beneath lunar labs. The military didn't march. It listened. It watched. It remembered. They didn't need to fight back. The galaxy was fighting itself. Species began accusing each other, claiming human agents were hiding in their ranks. Councils turned on councils. Empires tightened control, watching their own citizens more than the enemy. One empire, the Thren Kai, collapsed in 3 days due to mass hysteria. Why? Because every citizen received a personalized letter from a long-dead relative. Each one ending with the same words: "The humans remember me. Why didn't you?" At the edge of Council territory, an AI superintelligence, Oracle 7, was built to analyze and destroy human tech. It scanned over 5 million data fragments taken from ghost ships, wrecked satellites, and black boxes. After 6 minutes, it shut down. Self-terminated. Its final log said, "Human data contains paradoxes not known in this dimension. Their silence is not absence, it is containment. If released fully, reality may not survive." Council engineers wept. Because now they weren't just afraid of war. They were afraid of what war might wake up. Back in the center of human command, hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean, the real reason humanity stayed silent sat in a secure chamber. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a person. It was a library. A living archive of every insult, every broken promise, every treaty burned, recorded, and emotionally amplified. The library didn't store history. It made it feel. Every visitor to the chamber heard voices, not from speakers, but from inside their own thoughts, each one whispering the past, over and over, until it was never forgotten. Ambassador Elaine Carter stood before the glowing core, whispering to a young soldier beside her, "We don't need to fire a single shot," she said. "They're destroying themselves." The soldier nodded, trembling. "What if they ask for peace again?" Elaine smiled, but not kindly. "That time is gone. We offered peace for 1,000 years. They used it like a doormat." She looked at the glowing core, and now they're walking through a house made of knives. In space, Council fleets still float, weapons still ready, but no one fires, because the enemy does not appear. The war that was declared never truly began. And now every alien leader whispers the same question behind closed doors. What if the humans are no longer fighting us? What if they're simply watching how we fight ourselves? 1,000 voices filled the Grand Council Hall, but no one was speaking. Instead, the hall echoed with a strange sound. A heartbeat. Slow, steady, rhythmic, coming from every speaker, every translator implant, every comm station in the galaxy. The heartbeat of a human child. No message. No threat. Just life. But for the Council, it felt like judgment, because this child's heartbeat was attached to a data file, short, simple, terrifying. Her name was Amara. She died on the colony of Uri's 5. You said you'd protect civilians. That was your promise. The heartbeat continued. Everyone in the hall knew what Uri's 5 was. A human colony. Not a military base. No weapons. Just scientists, children, families. The Council had signed a peace treaty with Earth just days before the Zyklin attack. On the colony, they called it a rogue action. They promised justice, but no one was punished, and Amara's voice had been forgotten. Until now. The heartbeat grew louder. Then stopped, and all across the council's networks, human colonies began broadcasting their own stories, not speeches, not demands. Memories. One by one, they appeared. An old man whispering about his lost wife, who died during a peacekeeping raid. A girl showing a broken drawing tablet, the last thing her brother touched before a council drone destroyed their village. A soldier cradling the dog tags of 3 friends left behind after an accidental retreat. No battles. No blood. Just heartbreak. And the sound of a billion promises broken. On the moon of Terran V, a high priest of the Tarlock Empire, known for mocking humans as sentimental apes, woke up to find every wall of his temple covered in names. Not written, etched into the stone. By something or someone that left no trace. Thousands of names, each one tied to a broken promise made by the council. Each name followed by a single sentence: they remembered, you didn't. The priest resigned the next day. Desperate, the council finally voted to send an official peace delegation to Earth. This time, they brought gifts. This time, they brought respect. This time, they brought fear. Ambassador Lenore of the Foreign Alliance arrived in orbit, broadcasting across all frequencies. We were wrong. We broke the promises. Let us fix this. Let us heal. Let us be forgiven. Earth responded, but not with words, with silence. Then, a single transmission. Audio only. A woman's voice. Human. Calm. Double. Do you think peace is a reset button? Tulnor swallowed. We want to repair what was lost. The voice returned, softer now. Can you bring back the dead? No, but can you erase the memories of your lies? No, but then why do you think we would listen to you now? The channel went dead. The council delegation waited. 3 more days. No one spoke to them again. No one let them land. They left Earth space. Humiliated. Not by fire. Not by war, but by absence. Because now humanity wasn't angry. Humanity was finished. And there is no sound more terrifying than the one a broken promise makes, when it echoes inside someone who used to believe. In a hidden asteroid base known only as the Echo Chamber, human diplomats reviewed hundreds of intercepted council messages. Some begged for forgiveness, some blamed others, some offered resources, territory, tribute, but none offered memory. And so none were answered. General Aisha Khan, commander of the Human Psychological Front, leaned over a silent map of council space. They still think this is about punishment, she whispered. But we don't want revenge, her aide blinked. Then what do we want? She looked up. We want them to feel it, the way we did. That weight in your chest, the one that comes when someone promises to stand with you and walks away. She tapped on the map. A planet lit up in red, not a military base, a university, one that once taught students that humans were emotionally unstable. Now, it played a different lesson. Its professors woke up with visions. Its students heard whispers in their dreams. Not horror. Just sorrow. So deep, so real. They wept for memories that weren't theirs. They remembered pain they'd never felt. And they began to understand. Some dropped out. Some refused to serve in the war. Some wrote letters to Earth, not as politicians, but as people. The first apology came from a student named Erix. He simply wrote, I was taught to laugh at you. Now, I only cry. If she was my sister, I'd never forget. Please no. I won't either. No one responded to Erix, but on the outer rim of his world's orbit, a human drone ship hovered for 48 seconds, then disappeared and left behind a single gift. A blooming white flower. No code. No message. Just remembrance. Because sometimes, the loudest sound a broken promise makes is when it's finally answered with silence. Asterisk. They called it the Day of Stillness. Across every corner of the galaxy, From the burning suns of Vulcar 9 to the frost-crusted moons of Joran Delta, everything stopped. No trade, no messages, no warships moved. Not because of attack, but because Earth had vanished from all charts. From every scanner, from the minds of machines. For the first time in galactic history, an entire planet had become UNFINDABLE, not destroyed. UNREMEMB, even the stars near Earth's system no longer appeared. In maps, the council scrambled. Impossible, shouted one scientist. You can't erase a planet from navigation. But it had happened. Not by force. Not by weapons. By grief. Sharpened into technology. By memory. Converted into power. Humanity had done something no species had ever dared. They had chosen to forget the galaxy. And in return, they made the galaxy remember them forever. In a forgotten corner of council space, a tiny farming world called RSV awoke to find a sculpture on its largest hill. Not built by anyone. It had appeared overnight. It was a human child, carved from unknown crystal, standing barefoot in the grass. Her eyes were closed. Her hands held a single stone, etched with a phrase in every galactic language. You promised. The locals didn't understand at first. But the oldest among them felt something heavy inside their chest, like a voice whispering through their bones. They fell to their knees and wept. Elsewhere, machines across dozens of systems suddenly began playing an old human song. No one uploaded it. No one knew the tune. Just soft piano, slow, gentle, filled with sorrow. Every AI, every listening post, every long-range beacon played it in perfect unison. No lyrics, no threats, just a single feeling. You are being mourned. Back in the council's core chambers, chaos collapsed into silence. Ambassador Elaine Carter's name was now etched into a plaque of fear. Not because she declared war, but because she had once said something they finally understood. We are not your enemies. We were your mirrors. And all this time, you were afraid to see your own reflection. The council voted to declassify centuries of hidden records. Files once buried in secret. Archives were now public. Treaties signed with fake clauses. Colonies left to die while help was promised. Children used as leverage in trade deals. Now the galaxy knew. And Earth? Earth had not retaliated. It had let the truth do it for them. Meanwhile, in a remote asteroid belt, a lone drone drifted quietly. Its hull bore a single marking. Memory Unit 001A. For those who dared to care. Inside it, one message, a simple video. A boy, human, no older than 10, sitting in a burned-out home, dust on his face, tears dried on his cheeks. He looked into the camera and smiled, not with joy, but with strength. Even if you forget us, he said, we won't forget you. Not your words, not your silence, not your laughter when we begged. We're not angry, we're just done. The video ended. The drone didn't explode. It simply shut off and kept drifting, like a ghost carrying memory through the stars. On Earth, wherever it now existed, a new civilization had risen. Not bitter, not cruel, but unreachable. By choice. They had built cities that lived inside memory fields, invisible to those who once hurt them. Their language evolved. Their machines ran on emotional resonance. They no longer asked others to understand. They only asked each other to never forget. Each home held a black stone on the wall, smooth, warm to the touch. Every evening, families gathered around the stone and whispered one thing they remembered. A name, a face, a promise once made. Not to dwell, but to honor. Because pain doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it just needs to be heard. And humans had learned that long ago. In the darkness between stars, alien poets wrote of a species that did not conquer with fire, but with silence. A species that loved so deeply, their greatest weapon was heartbreak. They feared them, they respected them, but most of all, They remembered them, because humans, the soft ones, the kind ones, the patient ones, had taught the galaxy a final lesson. Never mock the ones who carry memories like fire. Because fire forgets where it burns, but memory remembers where it was burned. And so the galaxy moved forward, changed, haunted, careful. But from that day on, whenever a promise was made, whenever a treaty was signed, whenever a child looked up at the stars and asked, "Are they still out there?" the elders would answer quietly, "Yes, the humans are still out there. They are the species that doesn't forget. And we are the ones who finally remembered."